to me, the eye-opening thing is Austin Wells batting leadoff. And all these names that the Yankees have, all the potential that they have, the mix of veterans and young players, Austin Wells right now penciled in as their leadoff guy. You got Judge 2, Bellinger 3, Goldschmidt, Jazz, Volpi, Dominguez, and so on with the lesser-known names. What do you think of Austin Wells batting leadoff for your Yankee lineup?
I'm very interested. I'm very intrigued by it. I mean, look about the Yankee issues we've talked about so far, at least on paper going into the season. No true leadoff hitter, no true cleanup man, and an over-reliance on lefties. So those are things that until they're disproven, they are real things that the Yankees are going to have to navigate here. So when I look at the leadoff options, and we've kind of gone through this, but I'm starting to get the sense, because we've seen this before, where Wells has been at the top of the order, but now, with Judge out there and Garrett Cole on the hill, you get the sense, a little closer to the start of the season, that it's starting to be more meaningful as Aaron Boone's starting to really, mess around with things he thinks could be his opening day lineup. The only real options were Dominguez, Jazz, and Volpi. And for me, Jason Dominguez, there's just too much going on in left field. Let him get a clear head. You don't have to have two things that he's trying to solve, fielding and hitting at the major league level. I would not do that. I don't think they will. I don't think Volpi has earned it. He's just simply he's not on base enough, man. Now this could be the year that changes, but he is basically a 30% on base guy. That is nowhere near good enough. And Jazz, the other one, I like Jazz in the 5-hole where he is today, because, not that I want it to become a free swinger who hits 230 to chase 25 or 30 home runs. I hope he's still around 260 or 270. But I think if he's in the 5 spot, he's going to have a license to run wild without worrying about, is Aaron Judge kind of peaking when he's moving? Is that getting in the way of Aaron Judge's hitting eye, whatever? So of all the options, why can't Austin Wells be maybe a higher average version of Kyle Schwarber?
Yeah.
Why not?
I hate it.
Why?
I hate it. I just don't. He's not a leadoff hitter. I mean, there are other guys. Now, I'm not trying to just be old school and say speed and all that stuff. Austin Wells is a guy who is going to mash homers and clean up the bases with one swing in the bat more often than not. That's, to me, the appeal of Austin Wells, the power that he displays. Not a high on-base guy, not a high-average guy. I mean, look, putting him in front of Judge, sure, anybody's going to benefit being in front of Aaron Judge. Like, for me, if you're going to go Austin Wells, why not just go Bellinger? I want Bellinger in front of Judge in that lineup. I probably would have Bellinger 2, Judge 3. All right, you want to move Judge out of the 2-hole? Okay, fine. Even though we saw last year with Soto, why not then put Bellinger first? Like, you can't convince me that any of the guys you just mentioned, and more specifically Austin Wells, are better than any of the others to be that candidate. So if you're going to have Wells, I could argue for Cody Bellinger to hit in front of Judge. And I like that 1-2 better than I do Wells. I want Wells behind Aaron Judge in that lineup.
And that's where it was a year ago when the Yankees offense started to take off, and obviously had a lot of at-bats in the 4 spot. Now, he wore down as the year went on, but he was batting cleanup in the playoffs quite a bit until he was dropped at the end there. So, listen, I admit that there's no perfect formula. I mean, if Nobby or Jeter or Soriano were still here, or Willie Randolph or Ricky Henderson back in the day, sure. I mean, you could do it. You've got to get creative. So I don't think it's perfect, but let's look at okay. Do you think that, forget about Jazz Chisholm?
Yeah.
Do you think that Austin Wells will have a higher on base percentage than Volpi? I do.
I mean, I trust him to be a better hitter. I wouldn't
just on base though.
Yeah,
Volpi.
I mean, I guess. What is Volpi's career on base?
30%. It's bad. Okay. I mean, it's bad.
All right, here's the way that I would put it. I wouldn't put Volpi up there either, and I don't love any of the options. I just don't like this one. And I'm even with you with Jazz, although he looks like the more prototypical leadoff hitter, right? Because he's got speed.
Yep.
He's also got pop as well, so I could understand the appeal of having him down in that lineup. You're right. You want to burn Austin Wells' bat in the leadoff spot? His greatest strength to me is power.
I mean, if Ohtani could bat leadoff, Austin Wells can't.
Guess. Okay, so then we're having a conversation of evolving to where the sport is, right? So it's clearly not the same, because Judge really isn't a 2-hitter either.
No.
I mean, okay, but I've opened to that. I understand why. I just don't like the look of this lineup. Again, is it a huge deal? No. I think Dominguez, which is why Boone said it, I think Dominguez would be the best case there, because the main reason, not only does he fit to me as more of a leadoff type hitter, meaning he could run, he could, both sides of the plate, whatever. Yep. He's got some power. He projects to be a good average guy. So there's a lot there. Also benefiting a young player with potential benefiting from having Aaron Judge hit behind him. Wells is young, yes, it's different. And I know that maybe there's too much pressure on Dominguez to be leadoff, and now the uncertainty with the misplays in left field. I still think that's their best lineup of the options. Me, I'd go Dominguez. If not Dominguez, then I'd rather go Bellinger. I would just have Wells behind Judge.
I appreciate the experiment. I think a lot of times with the Yankees, there's a frustration where, and outside of Aaron Judge, that's definitely more of a modern thing. I'm with you. I would prefer to see Aaron Judge 3. I'm a little old school with that.
Would you go, so you'd go Bellinger 2, Judge 3?
I would go... Yeah, I would probably do that. Yeah.
Well, remember,
that would be my perfect setup, but I know they're not going to do that.
And let's try to simplify, right? Like the idea is you want your best hitters. We've done this when we've done these lineups with the Mets and Yankees both. You want your best hitters up sooner, right? You want to maximize their appearances. I'm not saying Wells isn't one of the best hitters, but that's why I could see Bellinger. Like, who are their best hitters? Give me the order of their best hitters that you think their best hitters are.
Judge 1.
Right,
Bellinger 2.
Okay, and then
I honestly think it's Austin Wells 3.
Okay, but then
I really do.
But then why wouldn't you just? That's why for me, you can make that argument. Now there is a drop off, obviously, from Judge and then Bellinger and then the rest of them, where Dominguez could be that guy. Volpi maybe could be that guy. Who knows? Goldschmidt or Jazz, they could be those guys. I think all those other guys that are behind Bellinger and Judge are Judge clear 1, Bellinger the clear potential to be the 2.
Yep.
All those other guys are kind of in the same boat. Why not just flip Bellinger and Wells? And then you have Bellinger in front of Judge. You're maximizing him. Judge 2, Wells behind him, Goldschmidt. It's still the same lefty-righty thing. And you have, a more, I don't know, I just feel better about Bellinger in front of Judge, where you got a guy who is proven, who's going to take advantage of it. The other thing for me, like I said, would then be Dominguez and just move everybody else down.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're a little bit too young for this. Do you remember the name Brian Downing?
Yes.
You remember for the baseball coach?
Angels?
Yes.
Yeah.
What year?
Game 4.
Game 4 later.
Today, yes.
There have been some, even back in the day when you had like the Vince Colemans and the Rickies and the quick twitch, faster leadoff hitters, which was always the way to go forever. Brian Downing was a very muscle-bound left fielder for the Angels. He batted first. Wade Boggs, outside of 1 year where he batted third, he hit, I think, 24, 25 home runs for the Red Sox, was a slower. Listen, I'm not saying Austin Wells going to hit 350 like Wade Boggs. He was going to hit 250 this year. I'm not necessarily sure. But there's been other examples where guys couldn't run and they were a little unconventional. I appreciate the experiment. And all I can tell you is this, and I do admit that there's no perfect option.
Right.
If there was, I don't think we'd have as many concerns or fears about the Yankees lineup to go into the season. But of all the options, I like this the best. I really do. I want to protect, and I see this is where it gets a little convoluted. I want to protect Dominguez from worrying about too much, but also having Judge behind him would help him theoretically as a hitter. I get that. Of course, I see that.
But if you so if we rule Dominguez out,
I'm going to rule him out for now. Let him slide 6-7. Let him just kind of deal in a little obscurity in the lineup.
Fair enough.
Figure it out. Get going. To me, he's not a real option. Volpi has not earned it.
So then it's Jazz.
He just hasn't earned it.
Then it's either Jazz, Bellinger, or Wells.
I wouldn't even put Bellinger 1. To me, it's, and when I first saw Wells about maybe a week or so ago, I'm like,
But those would be the only viable options, like whether you would or wouldn't. I would.
You're not doing Goldschmidt. You're not doing Cabrera. I agree that,
So Volpi's ruled out. Dominguez ruled out. It's Cabrera, Grisham. You're not having those guys. So really, it's Jazz. Especially if Judge is 2, you're going to have a lefty. You're going to have a lefty in front of him and a lefty behind him. That's how they're going to do it. That's the way that they want it. That's the way that it works here. And I don't disagree with that aspect of it. So if we rule out Dominguez and Volpi, Jazz, Bellinger, Wells are the only other options.
I like Wells the best. Like I said, I want Jazz in that 5 spot, and I love, you run wild, steal 40-something bags, hit 20 home runs. I don't, listen, is this my favorite all-time Yankees lineup? No. It's a little bit out of the box. Right now, I like it. If this was opening day, put it this way. If I could transport this to opening day, and I'm writing out the lineup card, I would put Austin Wells first. I truly would.
Really, why is it so difficult for the Yankees to find the
I don't know, man. Let me deal with one issue at a time, will you?
Hi, BT and Sal on the Fan. Our friends at Town Fair Tire remind you that at Town Fair Tire, you always get the guaranteed lowest price on name brand tires from Connecticut to Maine. Nobody beats Town Fair Tire. Nobody. Dom is in Edgewater, New Jersey. What's up, Dom?
Well, what a way to kick off the show. Boys, good to listen to you. Brandon, I spoke to you a couple times. I know I had the Yankee rant, so I'm going to try to be a little bit more docile. Sal, this is the first time I've actually spoken to you. Actually, one of my buddies actually spoke to you a long time ago. And he appreciates you guys. So
We appreciate you calling. Go ahead.
Thank you. Much appreciated. Yankee lineup, this is a little unconventional for the first time this year, just with the new look. I do kind of like the lineup, actually, but I'm going to actually disagree with you, Brandon, on this one, because I actually like Anthony Volpi in the leadoff spot, and here's the reason why. If you look last year in April and May, when he was in the 9 spot, he was having difficulty, acclimating to everything.
That's not true. Hold on. In April, he was fantastic.
He looked like a superstar to start the year last year.
That's wrong. That's wrong.
Well, okay.
It's okay. It's okay, Don. But remember, last year to start the year, Volpi was on fire.
Yep, he's one of their best players.
So much so that I was saying this guy's on the verge of superstardom.
Yep.
And he was raking, hitting the ball all over the place. And it was lower in the order, right? And then they moved him up, and then he started to struggle a little bit. But anyway, go ahead. Make your point for Volpi.
Well, because here's the reason why I like Volpi in the leadoff spot is because he does have speed at the top, and putting Aaron Judge second would actually help him a lot because Volpi gets on base. With Dominguez, I say put Dominguez in the 9 spot. That's actually the perfect place for him right now. He's new to this. He's green to the game. Put him in the 9 and leave Jazz in the 5th spot because Jazz is perfect where he was. He gets the balance of the lefties and the righties. And Austin Wells, I mean, I guess would be okay in the leadoff spot, but to be honest with you, Austin Wells, to me, when I look at Austin Wells, he doesn't seem like a leadoff hitter to me. So those are my thoughts.
I'm with you, Dom, and thank you for making the call.
Because he doesn't look like one? Because the numbers would be contrary to what you guys are saying.
Well, how are the numbers showing that Wells is a leadoff hitter?
The numbers for Anthony Volpi, I know we're talking about Wells, but part of the reason why I'm okay with Wells being a leadoff hitter is because Volpi is not proven viable. Anthony Volpi's on-base percentage in June was .235. On base.
Right.
In July, it was .265. In August, it was .302. And in September, it was .220.
Right.
On base.
I'm with you about Volpi as much as I love him.
Volpi, Sal.
And last year, I was saying I think that the Yankees' best lineup would have been with Volpi leading off, but he's never taken, or I shouldn't say never, he hasn't taken that step to be that guy. So I could understand ruling him out. I don't... back to the Wells part of things, I don't look at Austin Wells as a leadoff hitter either. He's just not, to me, he's not. I mean, the guy had 229.
Is it because he doesn't look it? Because what's the on base?
322.
Okay, 322.
Last year on base, 322.
Okay.
OPS 718.
Yep. But think about this. I remember I don't have his numbers.
18 double. I'm looking at it right now. Okay. 18 doubles, 13 homers, 55 ribbies.
Can you go to his splits? I remember referencing this last week or so, but can you go to his, I believe it was July and August, because he tailed off at the end for sure. In July and August, his OPS was like 940 and 950 back-to-back months.
Right, but where was he hitting in the lineup?
He was hitting it a fairly prominent. He wasn't batting.
I thought he was hitting cleanup. That's what I'm saying.
No, I know.
So I liked him there.
But there's no Soto. I mean, you've got to recreate this.
I get it. Look, I'm not saying it's nuts. And by the way, the reason why we're leading the show with this is because, to me, this is a legitimate... There's no reason Boone would do this just to do this. Like, there's a real chance that this is going to be their opening day lineup, meaning that if you're going to have all these guys in there... nobody's out. Jazz isn't out to say, well, Wells is only in there because Jazz is out. Jazz is in the lineup. Bellinger, Judge, Goldschmidt, Volpi, Dominguez, they're all in the lineup.
Garrett Cole's pitching.
This is... If not the opening day lineup, very close to it. Maybe a player or two.
Yeah, I think the difference, Judge is DH, and he'll be in the outfield, and Grisham won't be in there. That's probably it. Well,
then you would have to pick a DH, right? So let's see. If Judge is going to be in right, Bellinger will be in center. It's Dominguez in left. You're not going to have... You either have Dominguez DH or Grisham in left. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I guess you actually could do that if Grisham could play.
Point
Either way, but it's
you're
very
right.
close.
It might be the same thing. Somebody else is going to be DHing and Judge is going to be in the outfield, but this is very close. Cabrera at third base. So, I mean, this is probably it. And if this is it against the right-handed pitcher and Boone's got Wells leading off, this could very well be their lineup, at least to start the year. I just think that they could be a little bit better off with Bellinger in front of Judge. So I get it that there are minimal options. They aren't great. You could rule out certain ones. I don't like Wells in the leadoff spot. I'd much rather have Wells behind. I want some protection for Judge too. And I think Bellinger could be a better leadoff hitter than Wells, and I think Wells will be better protection than for Judge than Bellinger.
For setting the table at the one spot.
Yes.
It's so funny. Like usually there are... and you obviously know this because we do it together every day with Hoff and the crew here. We have to find our main topic.
Yeah.
And some days it's very easy. Like, hey, the Giants might trade up for this quarterback. The Jets might do this. They cut Rodgers, this, that, the other thing. Mets got Soto. Sometimes there's layups and sometimes there's not. And the funny thing about today's show meeting is that the first thing, because I usually get a little bit earlier and I write down 3, 4, 5 things that I think, and then you pretty much do the same. And I wrote down Yankees lineup. As soon as I saw this, I'm like, we're getting towards opening day. This is not the first time he's done this with Austin Wells atop the order. It looks like a lineup that could be the opening day lineup. And the first thing you said, what are you thinking? And you say, maybe the lineup. I said, boom. And you actually said, save it for the air.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about it.
Yep. We both felt that this was interesting enough to lead with, and I actually think that Austin Wells is going to be the leadoff hitter, and unless they make a trade, and I like it. I am fine with it. He's a better hitter than Volpi. He's more proven than Dominguez. It's unconventional, but it doesn't mean unconventional can't work.
Sal is in Brooklyn. What's up, Sal?
Sal.
What's going on, boys? Good morning.
Good morning, Sal.
Howdy, boy.
BT, as far as putting Wells up there, you're putting a Clydesdale in a spot. I know I'm old. I get it. But you want that guy that can get on base, steal a bag, and at least put some pressure on a pitcher quick so Judge can do some damage. I would leave Volpi 9, man. That's where he shows his best production. Mm-hmm. And if he gets on base, he flips in order. But go Jazz, go Dominguez, go Judge, then go Bellinger, Wells, Goldschmidt. So you got some RBIs down at the 4, 5, and 6 hole. And then you get back to some conventional baseball with the squad.
Listen,
but you
Sal.
put 2 speedsters on a bag. You put pressure on the other team quick.
I appreciate the mindset, and it's not a faulty one. It's been subscribed to by many baseball people, very intelligent baseball people, for a long time. I was going to ask him, do you think Jason Dominguez, because he said Dominguez or Jazz, has Dominguez earned the leadoff spot?
Well, I said Volpi. Did he say Volpi too or no?
No,
he said Volpi 9. You're right.
Has Jason Dominguez earned it? The answer is no. Now, Jazz is obviously a proven, productive, everyday player. Personally, I favor him in the 5 spot. It looks like the Yankees are kind of thinking the same thing. This is less than perfect, guys. And when you have something that's a little less than perfect, like maybe the Knicks messing around and completely altering their starting 5, starting Mitch, putting Cat at the 4, Josh Hart to the bench, because it's not perfect. And it's not a in my opinion, it's not a championship team the way it's set up right now. So you might have to rethink this and reposition some people. Same with the Yankees. They've got some good pieces, but this lineup is not incredibly dynamic. And if I could put somebody, I know he doesn't run like the wind. I know he looks like a 1980s, DH or first baseman or catcher, which he is, with the stash and the eye black and the thick body.
Yeah.
He's a good hitter.
Yeah.
And he's going to be on base a lot more than anybody else that I think they could put there.
Yeah, and I said I hated it. I do. I don't like the look of Wells in front of Judge, but really I'm just asking to flip Bellinger and Wells. That would be the way that I would do it. But I have another angle to it that the caller just brought up, that Sal in Brooklyn brought up, BT. We'll get to when we come back. Can a guy, it almost plays in favor of Boone's decision-making in this particular case, would a guy with speed be beneficial to get on in front of Judge? Or would you be hurting him and the team in that scenario? We'll discuss that when we come back and continue with your calls, 888-808-1019.